Hey everybody, this is Ryan McClanahan with HistoryThroughCards.com. I hope you're all doing very well today. So, everybody and their grandmother has really covered the Shriner show for 2025 last week, and I'm really kind of like last of the Mohicans here. And I wasn't actually sure if I was gonna do a review of this show. Now I have gone to this show for now 30 years, and I've only missed two of these things. But I was like, you know what? Okay, I'll do it, and no peer pressure or anything. But uh, right off the bat, this was probably the funnest show that I've ever been to. Um, Far more than the 2025 national that I was at, and I I liked the national, but I didn't like it that much, and mostly I think because I was alone for the national for the most part. I mean, it was kind of a lonely show for me, and uh, I think I have more fun uh, at shows, especially in the hobby, with other people, interacting with other dealers and collectors, swapping stories and cards. And to me, that's more fun than just picking up a card here and there, because you can do that anywhere. But how many times can you actually meet other YouTubers and card collectors and dealers? For me, it's not that often. So when I do have an opportunity like this, I take full advantage. So on Friday, there was a long line really out the door and around the corner, and I thought it was going to be really, really packed because I'm just standing there for like 20 minutes waiting to get in the door. And so I found Friday overall to be a great time to just relax and look at cards and talk to people, and I didn't have any worries at all. Like, I didn't have to rush. I wasn't going anywhere, to tell you the truth, on Friday. So I thought it was a great time to buy, and I did pick up quite a bit on Friday. And I also met Mark Hoyle for the first time too. And as you guys can see in this photo here, you have Mark Hoyle, and then you have Jake from Wax Pack Wisdom, myself, and Dom from Stavin Sports Cards. And I've never met Mark before. We interact sometimes on the SABR podcast, and so it was really great to get to talk to him and meet him in person, and as well as Jake too. I see Jake quite often because we're in the same neck of the woods, and so it's always great to meet these guys in person. And Dom I've never met before, and so I was introduced to him and his channel too, and he seems like a really nice guy, and he's got some great stuff as well. So I was really glad to meet them. Mark Hoyle has probably the nicest collection of sports memorabilia that you're ever going to see, and he did pick up some look like ashtrays from the Boston Bruins. One guy in particular that stood out to me, Ted Green, and he said it was a pretty rare piece. You didn't really see too many Ted Green ashtrays from the Bruins. It's a complete set from, I want to say, Mark, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, 1970, 71, somewhere around there, maybe 72, but they were really nice pieces. And then he had later on he showed me a bobblehead, which was really cool. I walked around a little bit and I saw some really rare stuff and some very expensive stuff too, that was, I think, kind of out of the reach for the average collector. And one of these was a 1933-36 Zenit Joe DiMaggio, as you guys can see here. The dealer wanted $26,500, which, I don't know anyone who actually has that. I mean, maybe they do, but why bring that kind of cash at a show? Even like a check, okay, fine, or Venmo or whatever. I truly don't understand like that kind of stuff, but I'm learning. I'm kind of an old school dude here. If you don't have the cash for something, don't pay for it. But I'm not gonna ever tell anybody what to do with their money. But this is actually not technically Joe DiMaggio's rookie card because he still is in the Pacific Coast League, San Francisco Seals in this photo, and he may have. I have to check out his minor league stats. I know he had I think he had like a 61 hitting streak going. I think it's 61. But he had a major hitting streak in the minor. I can't even call the Pacific Coast League the minor leagues because there's a third league, legit. I know his brother Dom DiMaggio was the MVP of the league, and I want to say that was 1939. I could be mistaken too because I'm not always correct on this stuff. A year off, so 1939 or 1938. I want to say 1939. Next year, he's Dom DiMaggio is in the Red Sox in 1940. So most likely it's 1939. But getting back to Joe D here, the Z Nuts, those were around from 1911 to 1938, and I usually find those things in dog beat condition, just absolutely garbage. But on the flip side, you do have some really interesting players in that league that you are not really going to find anywhere else, and a lot of future Hall of Famers as well. So it might behoove you to try to grab a few of those cards for your collection. Thing is, you're not going to find those cards, and the majority of those cards are going to be in like excellent or below condition. So and the other thing too is like this one here is missing the coupon, and I never see coupons attached to these cards. It's very rare, so that's another thing you might want to keep in mind. And then another really interesting thing here is this Tex Rickard Babe Ruth card. It's not really Babe Ruth that I'm interested in. It's Tex Rickard, and he was born in 1870 and passed away in 1929. He was a promoter and founder of the New York Rangers, and he also promoted a fight on July 4th, 1910, between Jim Jeffries and Jack Johnson, and he also built Madison Square Garden. Actually, he rebuilt it. I think that was the third time it was rebuilt, and he also built the Boston Garden too. So I think he's in the Hockey Hall of Fame as a builder, and he's just a really interesting guy. Not a whole lot is discussed about him today, but that's the life of vintage hockey, I guess. But I thought that was really interesting, and that's a card you don't really see often. I didn't even inquire as how much it was because actually it's up for auction. I think golden auction. So that was interesting. I kind of wish there was a card of Tex Rickard. I would have loved to add something like that to my collection. If there is, I kind of doubt it. There's a lot of photos of him though. And then I stopped by another dealer who had a box of 2025 Topps Joy of Baseball with Bob Ross. This is the second year, I believe, and he was telling me that that box was going for over $1,000. I'm like, what? That's insane. But Bob Ross, he's one of the more interesting painters, and he got me interested in painting at a very young age. And Bob Ross's artwork is, some of it is going up for sale now, but the majority of it is, I think it's like locked away. And there's a documentary on Bob Ross not too long ago, which I highly recommend you guys check out if you're interested in artwork and Bob Ross's story. I think he and his family got ripped off really badly, and it's kind of unfortunate what happened to him. But that guy was like instrumental in a lot of people's lives who wanted to be artists. So I was really kind of shocked that Topps actually did this Joy of Baseball set with Bob Ross and his image, and all of his likeness, Bob Ross's likeness. Uh, all of that money doesn't go to his son Steve. It goes to the Kowalski family, who own the rights and the likeness of Bob Ross, which I think kind of sucks, but that's just me. 1913 National Game. I found Don Hantz, who he's always there with his business partner. I'm sorry, I forget his business partner's name. Very nice guy. Same with Don as well, and I think they're from Maine, but they had a complete set of 1913 National Game, and I bought a number of cards from them. Usually, if I'm honest, they're a little on the expensive side, and they have a lot of Cracker Jacks, which are really nice. Cracker Jack used to be really affordable for the average collector. I have a few Cracker Jacks in my collection. They're very historic cards, but in this case, the National Game, the home run baker here that you guys can see, he had two of these cards. One was without the Fenway Brewery overstamp, and Home Run Baker seems to be the only ball player who has an overstamp of the Fenway Brewery. I don't know how that happened or why, but if I had to guess, in 1912, Home Run Baker led the league with 10 home runs and 130 RBI, and in 1913 he led the league with 12 home runs and 117 RBI, and he's got 96 total home runs in a 13-year career, four-time home run leader. And you're like, okay, like guy with 96 home runs, named Home Run Baker. Yeah, but you're talking about the dead ball era, and they only had usually they were only playing with one baseball, which was very mushy, and try to hit a home run with that thing. I mean, just forget about it, right? So that's why Home Run Baker is named Home Run, because hardly or very few players actually hit that many home runs, or could actually hit that many home runs. And if you think about it, if it's that difficult to hit a home run with a mushy ball, then try to hit a triple, right? So, it's just a different era during the quote-unquote dead ball era. That's actually the second dead ball era, from 1900 to 1920. There was one prior to that too, but I thought that was really interesting. And there was another really interesting card here too, Gale Sayers autographed card. I believe that's Topps, but I almost wanted to get that card. It's prior to, or actually no, it's after Gale Sayers' career. Obviously, it's a new card. I just thought the design was really interesting, which is why I took a photo of it. And I'm a real big fan of Gale Sayers too. So, 1916 M101 Morehouse Baking. This is a really interesting card. This is of Happy Felch, or Hap Felch. He was banned from baseball along with the other 1919 Black Sox. There were 8 of them. Personally, I think that Buck Weaver didn't really have a whole lot to do with that, but he was still banned. They just lifted the ban on all of those guys, including the guys who are banned from either knowing about the bet or the gambling scandal or profiting off it, who weren't on the Black Sox, and you have a number of those guys. So Hap Felch, you never really see that card. I've actually never seen it in person. That's the first time I have, and I thought it was just a really, really interesting card. Morehouse Baking, they just had a discovery of a number of those cards, I believe, at the factory itself, um, and it was in Lawrence, Mass. 7 Mill Street. I think that's what it is. It's obviously in the back of the card. I don't know how profitable the bakery was at that point. I mean, I did some research on this, and the bakery was around. It started in 1899 in Lawrence, Mass, by John Dodge Morehouse. He was born in 1854 and he died in 1918, presumably of the Spanish flu in November of 1918. So I believe that's when the Spanish flu first came by our way through the doughboys over in France. But some people say that the Spanish flu actually originated in Paterson, New Jersey. But also Charles Smith, he also founded Morehouse Baking as well. He was his business partner, and he kept the business until 1960. Yeah, 1965. The Morehouse Baking Company changed hands, and I have no idea what happened after that. I don't know how. I don't know if the company closed its doors. Obviously, I think it did. I just don't know when. I couldn't find a date. But here you have a Hick Caddy as well, and these cards belonged to Jeff Gross, who I did some business with and spoke to. Very nice kid, very nice guy. So he also had here too 1909 WM Dick printing Pirates cards, and they're all hand cut cards. I've never seen these cards before, and so this was really interesting. The Pirates went on to the World Series that year. I believe they won against the Tigers, and so I kind of assumed that the Pirates had like a dynasty going on in the turn of the century. They went. I believe they won the pennant in 1902, and I don't think that they actually went to the World Series as often as I thought they did. But Honus Wagner, obviously. What was really interesting too is that there is a 1904 Pittsburgh Leader newspaper, Honus Wagner here, from the Mile High auction, and it's a schedule, and I've never seen this either. This is really fantastic, and I believe it's like the first time that anyone from Mile High had actually ever seen the card too. And Honus Wagner has technically he's got a rookie card in 1898. I've seen it once, and I forget exactly what it is. I think it's pink. It's a weird looking thing, but I've never seen this. And Honus Wagner has a sporting news supplement from 1898, 1899. That was really interesting to see. And then there was an 1890 Monarch Tobacco Works. I still have to look at that, see what that is exactly. N570 Geronimo, and it's the same image as the 1887 Allen and Ginter, but that's still a very expensive card on its own. I didn't ask what this card was selling for, but it is Geronimo, and just a really historic figure in American society. So I would love to own either one of these at some point, but I've never seen this card, so it was really cool. And also a 1914 Boston Goddard. That's from the George Frost Company in Boston. It's Tris Speaker. This one's authentic, and it's from the Love of the Game auctions. And it's not often that I've actually seen this type. It's 1913. I've seen the 1912 most often, The one with the really nice garter and the player on top. So these you really don't come across. And Trish Speaker, obviously, I don't think that these were actually for collectors at all, and so it doesn't appear that way. And I think they're just for display items for stores, and then whatever they did with them, they probably trashed most of them or whatever. They didn't keep any, so that's the rarity. And the George Frost Company, the building itself, still stands in Boston. I used to go by it all the time on my way to work, and so again, like I just kind of thought like, oh, maybe I should go into the building and try to find these things, but I don't think that any of them are there. And I went over to Suffolk University to study their library. They have a lot of documents on the George Frost Company, because the gentleman who founded the university, Suffolk University, actually he was the George Frost was his benefactor. I believe his name is Archer, and so I went through all that stuff, and it was pretty cool. I came across this. It's a 1907 Red Sox program with Cy Young, and actually that's the first year with the team name Red Sox. Before that, they were the Americans or something stupid like that, and they really didn't have a team name until like 1907. I'm still trying to figure out who it was who decided the name Red Sox. Obviously, because they had Red Sox, but they could have been named anything else too. And there are some kind of dumb names out there, like the Boston Bean Eaters. Actually, they turned into the Braves later on. But man, it just I thought that was really cool too. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. And so, another thing that was really awesome here was the Jackie Robinson Chock full of Nuts letter. It is dated, let me see, March 11th, 1958. And so Chock full of Nuts, it's a New York roasting company, coffee roasters. And so that company was founded in 1926, and it was on Broadway Street, Broadway Ave. I've never been there, so I don't know, but on Broadway. And Jackie Robinson, after he retired in I believe it was in the off season of 1956, going into 1957, and essentially what the Dodgers did was trade Jackie Robinson to the Giants, and he refused to report to them, and he retired instead. Which is a good move on his part, I think. I couldn't imagine Jackie Robinson in anything other than a Brooklyn Dodgers jersey, but he ended up being a vice president of personnel, and he was actually the first African American to be named in that position in a major company. So he did a lot of really interesting things after his baseball career, and that's one of them. So there are a few letters of Jackie Robinson's as a representative of Chock full of Nuts, and it's something that a lot of people don't really know about. And then he was also like a labor leader as well, and really kind of instrumental in the civil rights movement as well after his baseball career. Then there was a Sandy Koufax black and white photo. Is kind of a small photo here, and it showed him as a color commentator for NBC, and he was in that position after he retired from 1967 to 1972. And this one is actually autographed, and I really liked it. Unfortunately, I kind of thought maybe it would be too expensive, so I passed on it. Outside of the sports convention here, Jake from Waxpack Wisdom and his wife Abby put together a get-together of a lot of YouTubers at this place called Apothecary Ales Brewery at 303 Main Street in North Reading, Mass. And as you guys can see here in this photo, from left to right, you've got Keith from Lonely Basement Baseball Cards, Sammy Thunder, me, Shane from Shoeboxlegends. Really great dude to talk to. It was really fun to meet him. And then Dom, again from Stavin Sports Cards, and Jake from Wax Pack Wisdom, and Brian Kane. I don't believe that Brian actually has a YouTube channel. I could be wrong about that, but he's very well known in the YouTube community, the sports card YouTube community. And then Mike Junk Wax Hero, and Alan Boston Sports Fan, Dan from Dan's Vintage Baseball PC. And it was really great to get to interact with a lot of these guys and hang out at this place. And so that was really fun. And I really enjoyed this show. I had a lot of fun, and it wasn't just about the cards. The cards were only half of the fun for me. More so to get together with a lot of these other YouTubers and just talk hobby. Anyway, guys, I'm going to show you my pickups, and I hope you enjoy. Before I show you guys my pickups, I want to discuss this particular photo. I had met Mark Hoyle at the show, and he was really great to talk to and get together with and hang out. And you know, he's a big fan of the blues, and so am I, in fact. And so we had a nice discussion, and you know, he gave me a goodie bag, if you will, of all of these photos. And one of the photos that he gave me was this right here. And somebody, I guess, had said to him, like, well, he, meaning me, is not going to know who this guy is. And like they asked, like, who is this guy? And it happens to be Eugene Jr. Thompson. And I know who Eugene Thompson was. I actually did some artwork for him, I believe in like 2004, 2005. And I had done some artwork with him, for him. But when I'm doing my artwork, I usually need like a photo to go off of, or just you know, something comparable. And this actually is a baseball magazine premium. I forgot what the designation is, the prefix, if you will. I forget what that is. But these were actually around from like 1909 through the 1940s. This one is probably 1940, 41, if I had to guess. And so I'm looking around for photographs to use in my artwork for Eugene Thompson, and I came across this right here. And this is the original photograph that was used for the 1940, I think it's 1940 or 41 Reds team issue. The Reds actually were really great at one thing, other than having like a small mini dynasty in the late 1930s, and it was that they had a lot of team issue sets. This one actually happens to look like the 1948 Bowman, and I'll show you what the back looks like. Whoops. Looks like this. Obviously Junior Thompson here. This is from May 22nd, 1939, when he was a rookie, and it's from the Sporting News Archives. It's a property of, which is pretty cool. But what I thought was really interesting was the seller of this, and I got this on eBay, and you guys can see here it says the Rogers Photo Archive, and it says 2501 North Poplar, Little Rock, Arkansas, and it's the original photo So what is really interesting about that is that let me just get rid of that. Rogers was a guy who was featured, and his name was John Rogers, and he was featured heavily in the American Greed episode, in which he had stolen a lot of original photos and memorabilia, and I believe he's actually serving prison time still. So John Rogers ended up purchasing the collection of George Brace and George Burke. And those guys, if you don't know the names, you've definitely seen the photographs, because they were used in the 1939 and 1940 and 1941 play ball sets, and they were the house photographers, if you will, for the Chicago Bears, the White Sox, and the Cubs, and anybody else who came through Chicago. Those two guys would take photos. Anyway, those collections were sold to John Rogers, and Rogers ended up he wanted to digitize them and sell them, kind of probably like what Getty is doing, right? But he ended up going to prison, and I don't have any information or any knowledge that this is stolen whatsoever. It's obviously not George Burke or George Brace's photograph. Wherever John Rogers got it from, I have no idea. But he was selling a lot of stuff, and like I think he's still in prison for a lot of goofy stuff, and not the greatest dude in the world. So that to me was really interesting, that I ended up getting this particular portrait here, or photo, baseball magazine, and at some point I might do a video on baseball magazine. But another bunch of photos that Mark had given me, I thought were really fantastic, and this was one of them. This kind of surprised me, really. I was kind of shocked when I saw this, because I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this photo before, at least part of it, and I have. It ends up being the 1941 double play Ted Williams. I've had this card for a while now. I rebought it, and that seems to be something that I'm doing more and more of, repurchasing cards that I sold when I was going to college to pay for my college, and now I'm really kind of like trying to find those cards that I sold, and because well, for one thing, I really needed money to go to college, but baseball cards were really the easiest way for me to do that, buy and sell cards, and I haven't done that since I graduated college about 25 years ago, and I've bought I sold maybe like one or two cards since then, so I really don't sell my card collection. It's not really the purpose of me collecting cards. But to get back to the story here, I had this card when I was a kid. I think I was about 22 years old when I purchased this card at an auction, and I sold it, and then I recently purchased it again for the same price that I paid at auction. That copy was actually better or nicer than this, but I always kind of wondered what was going on in this photo. And so the original photo here, I haven't seen it. You can find original photos of this particular set. I do have a number of them, and I just haven't seen this original photo. This, however, is it's a cropped copy of the original original photo, obviously Dom DiMaggio here. There's more to him, if you will, than this, than Jimmy Fox and then Ted Williams here. So that is this photo, which I thought was really cool. And I don't know the exact date of this. Dom DiMaggio came up in 1940, and Jimmy Fox is his roommate at the time. So Jimmy Fox actually asked Red Sox management if he could room with Dom DiMaggio here, so he could teach him the ropes of the game and everything else. And they became really good friends. And so it's a whole nother story. I heard this from Dom himself back, I want to say back in 2007. And then I never met Ted Williams, but I'm just going to say right off the bat, I'm not shy about this. Teddy is not a guy that I would ever have a beer with. I have my problems with Ted Williams. A great hitter, war hero, two-time veteran of two different wars. Personally, though, I'd rather have a cup of coffee or a beer with these two guys. In fact, Dom DiMaggio was probably the smartest guy I ever met in my life, aside from my buddy Hank, who's like in his 90s and just a tremendous fan of baseball. But again, like, these two guys were roommates, and he had told me about Jimmy Fox and how he was essentially terminated from the team, unbeknown to him. He didn't know about it, and Dom knew of his trade to the Cubs before Jimmy Fox did. In fact, he found out from Dom. And I've been trying to get Dom DiMaggio in the Hall of Fame for a very long time, and I'm not going to give up that, because I think Dom does belong there. He's probably like the second best center fielder in the American League, behind his brother Joe. And it's really tough that you are the brother of Joe DiMaggio, either Vince or Dom. It makes it very difficult for Dom to get any kind of look at the Hall of Fame level, but he does belong there. So I thought that was really fantastic, and again, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Mark. And then another really neat photo that he gave me was this right here. It looks like a Silver Slugger Award, maybe 1967, 68, around there. But I thought that was a really cool photo. I'm not the biggest fan of Yaz, though I do have a number of his cards. So, go figure, right? So, really cool, though. And then here's another photo of Yaz. And I've heard plenty of stories from other ball players, good and bad, about Yaz. And my grandmother loved Yaz, and she couldn't say any bad words about Yastrzemski. But my personal interactions with the guy are kind of strained. I don't know what to say about that. Maybe someday I will, but not right now. And then Ted Williams, I believe this is 1952 or 53, when he was recalled to active service during Korea. And generally what would happen is that if you were stateside during World War II, there was like a time when those guys could be recalled, and if you were stateside, you would be sent overseas. If you were sent overseas during World War II, you would be recalled and mostly sent stateside. But in his case, he probably would have gone over during World War II over to Europe or something like that, maybe the Pacific. But the war ended, and he was his eyesight was so good that he could see the stitches on the ball coming in, and so he made an excellent instructor during World War II. And Johnny Pesky actually followed in his footsteps into the service, and Johnny became a pilot, PBY, I think, is that what they call it? But I think by the time he got his wings in '44, uh, those PBYs were fixed. But early editions were just known for exploding. So that was kind of like a dangerous thing. But he was proud of that. In fact, um, I do have a lot of Ted Williams cards. I didn't pick up any at this show. Uh, I think there's maybe like one or two Ted Williams cards that I really want. And Jake from Wax Pack Wisdom picked up a really nice Ted Williams card, and you guys can see that in his own video, which I'm going to share a link below. So this was really cool. And John Glenn also flew with him, and a guy named Peterson too, which my friend Dan Peterson, that was his brother who flew with Ted Williams. And Dan actually was instrumental helping me out as a kid collecting vintage way back in the day. So you sometimes you need extra help in collecting because you don't know everything, and I didn't know anything about vintage, and I wanted to learn as much as I could. Dan was instrumental in helping me along the way. And then again, Ted Williams, and I think that's George Scott Boomer. Teddy was really well known for two things, even after his career. So he never wore a tie, and as you guys can see here, he never wore a tie. And secondly, he was instrumental in getting a lot of the Negro League ball players into the Hall of Fame, especially Satchel Paige. And so I don't have everything bad to say about Ted Williams. In fact, I've written extensively about Ted Williams in the past, and I do feel bad about what happened to him as an older adult, especially a older veteran. Especially, family family is great, and it can also gonna be bad too. And in his case, his son was really just a terrible, terrible human being. And even Dom DiMaggio had said that, and Johnny Pesky as well. What his son had done to Ted Williams, and I think a lot of collectors also know about that too.